So here's the wildest paradox of 2026. If you actually stop and look at what dominated the internet this year, not some insane blockbuster, not the Oscars, not a celebrity trial, the two things that genuinely broke social media and got more engagement than almost anything else were casting announcements. Not even movies, not even trailers, just who's gonna play who. That's it. That's the whole story. We're talking about two specific moments. First, a black British actor named Paapa Essiedu was announced as Severus Snape in the new Harry Potter series. Second, Lupita Nyong'o was cast as Helen of Troy in Christopher Nolan's upcoming Odyssey. And the world, the entire world, collectively lost its goddamn mind. Elon Musk posted about it. Trump Jr. posted about it. Matt Walsh made approximately 40 videos about it. Millions of regular people jumped in over fictional characters in projects that haven't even started filming. Now, I get it. On the surface, this sounds completely insane. And honestly, it kind of is. But if you dig even a little bit deeper, you start to realize this isn't really about Harry Potter, and it's definitely not about ancient Greek mythology. It's about something that's been building for years. This slow, grinding collision between Hollywood and a massive chunk of its own audience. Think about what Snape actually means to people. For an entire generation, Severus Snape is inseparable from Alan Rickman. The pale face, the black robes, the voice that could freeze a room. That's not just a casting choice people remember. That's a performance baked into their childhood, into their identity, into something that actually matters to them personally. So when a studio announces a reboot and puts someone completely different in that role, it doesn't just feel like a creative decision. To millions of people, it feels like someone walked into their living room and rearranged the furniture without asking. And the Helen of Troy situation, even more extreme. Because now you've got Elon Musk, a man worth something like $300 billion, spending time on a Tuesday morning arguing about the racial authenticity of a woman whose father, according to the actual myth, was Zeus disguised as a swan. Let that sink in for a second. All right, let's talk about what's actually going on here, because this whole thing is way more cynical than most people want to admit. Hollywood has been running this playbook for years now. The formula is pretty simple. You take an existing IP, something with a built-in fan base, something people already love and feel protective of, then you make a change that you know is going to be controversial. Race is the easiest lever to pull. And then you just wait. Because what happens next is free marketing worth hundreds of millions of dollars. The outrage crowd goes insane, the progressive crowd comes out to defend the casting, everyone's fighting, everyone's posting. The movie is trending for weeks before a single frame is shot. That's not representation. That's not social progress. That's a boardroom strategy. And here's the part that should actually piss you off. The actors in these situations, they're not being celebrated. They're being used. Paapa Essiedu just won a Laurence Olivier Award in April of this year. That's the most prestigious theater award in Britain. The man has genuine, serious, undeniable talent. He earned that through years of grinding through Shakespeare with the Royal Shakespeare Company. But is anyone online talking about whether he can act? Hell no, they're debating his skin tone. Lupita Nyong'o is an Oscar winner. A few years ago, that meant something. It meant you were untouchable, a serious artist, above the noise. Now it means absolutely nothing in the court of internet opinion. And when the dust settles and these movies come out, if they underperform, and let's be honest, a lot of these reboots do, the studios will point at the toxic fandom and say, see, the audience just couldn't handle diversity. Clean hands, zero accountability, every single time. Now flip to the other side of this circus. You've got conservative media, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, the whole ecosystem, who have built genuinely massive, genuinely profitable businesses doing one thing, being outraged about exactly this kind of stuff. Every casting announcement like this is basically Christmas morning for them. New content, fresh outrage, another episode, more subscribers, more money. So when they're out there screaming about the desecration of European heritage or whatever the talking point is this week, ask yourself how much of that is sincere cultural concern and how much of that is a man who knows his engagement numbers just went through the roof. I'm not saying the outrage is fake. Some of it is completely genuine, but there's a layer of people on top of it who are absolutely monetizing every second of it. And that's just as cynical as what the studios are doing. So let's zoom out for a second and look at the bigger picture. Because this whole situation, the casting wars, the outrage cycles, the culture war content, none of it exists at this scale without social media. 15 years ago, if a studio made a controversial casting choice, some people would grumble about it on forums, maybe a few articles would get written, and then life would move on. Now, within hours, you have millions of people coordinating their anger in real time. Memes, counter-memes, hot takes, counter-hot takes, threads, quote tweets, TikToks, YouTube videos. The whole machine spins up instantly and it just does not stop. And here's the thing about that machine. It's not neutral. It's not just a tool. The algorithms that run these platforms are specifically designed to maximize the amount of time you spend on them. And what keeps people glued to their screens longer than anything else? Anger. Anger gets you commenting. Anger gets you sharing. Anger makes you refresh the page 17 times to see who replied to your reply. So the platform wins every time this happens. Every single casting controversy is just free fuel for an engine that runs on human frustration. And somewhere in the middle of all this, the actual art gets completely lost. Nobody's asking whether the Harry Potter series is going to be well written. Nobody's debating whether Nolan's Odyssey is going to be a worthy adaptation of one of the greatest stories ever told. Those conversations don't generate clicks. Rage generates clicks. The real question, the one nobody wants to sit with, is who started this? Did Hollywood create this toxic, reactionary audience by spending years making cynical, lazy decisions dressed up as progressive values, or did a loud, intolerant fan base push studios into defensive, overcorrecting behavior? Honest answer? Probably both. They radicalize each other over the course of about a decade, and now we're all living inside the result. What actually should scare you isn't the discourse, it's what's underneath it. Because it's not just arguments anymore. Paapa Essiedu has been receiving genuine threats. Not criticism, not harsh comments, actual threats against his life. Over a role in a TV show. J.K. Rowling got them for years. Gal Gadot got them. And in some cases, it has ended in real tragedy. At that point, we're not talking about a culture war. We're talking about people who have completely lost the plot. Who have convinced themselves that a casting decision is worth threatening another human being over. Look, I'm not going to sit here and tell you who's right and who's wrong in all of this, because honestly, I don't think there's a clean answer. What I will say is that the people making money off this fight, the studios, the outrage commentators, the platforms, none of them actually want it to end. The anger is the product. You are the audience. And as long as everyone keeps engaging, keeps fighting, keeps clicking, keeps commenting, the machine keeps running. So maybe the most radical thing you can do is just go watch a movie and decide for yourself if it's good. Wild concept, I know.